Aha! Gather around, my people. Lean in a little closer. Yes, even you with sleepy eyes and half-chewed sugarcane, because what I'm about to tell you is not written in any book, not whispered in classrooms, and certainly not known by those who wear ties tight enough to choke their thinking. This, my friend, is the tale of Morara, the man of Gooseland, who looked at the colonizer in the face, smiled sweetly, and then, well, you'll find it out. But first, let's begin where all good stories begin, in a place called Ubosongo. Now, in Ubosongo back then, wasn't the noisy town you see today with cars honking and border borders chasing your ankles. No. Back then, Ubosongo was just Egesa upon Egesa. Those beautiful clusters of round grass-touched huts, nestled like sleeping calves beside banana groves and whispering maize stalks. You could walk from homestead to another and offer roasted maize, gossip, or if you are lucky, a full gourd of ebusa, our beloved traditional brew, the juice of wisdom and poor decisions. It was harvest season. The yams had come out of the ground as fat as the new babies. The millet was singing in its sack, and the goats had no idea they were living their last days before the stew pot claimed them. To celebrate, the entire village gathered for the annual Rhythmic, our grandest dance. Ah, that Rhythmic! Cowhides tied around waists, jiggles strapped to ankles, beats bouncing on the chest, and warriors stamping their feet like thunder with rhythm born straight from the womb of Mother Africa. And in the middle of all this joy was Morara. Morara was not the tallest man, nor the strongest. His Benny entered the room before he did, and his laughter shook the dust off sleeping insects. But what he lacked in muscle, he had it in cunning. His mind was sharper than a circumcision knife on a market day. And he could talk. He could convince a chicken to lay golden eggs if you gave him enough ebusa. Now let's talk about the visitor who spoiled the party. His name was Christopher, a white colonizer from somewhere cold, where people eat bread without soup and wear suits even in bed. Probably. Christopher had arrived weeks earlier and declared himself district officer of Ubosongo, though no one remembered electing him. He walked around in his khaki shorts so tight his knees looked embarrassed, carrying a wooden stick like he was shepherding goats. But it was as he was trying to hide. Christopher didn't like our songs, said they were too loud. He didn't like our dances, said they were uncivilized. And he definitely didn't like ebusa, claimed it smelled like fermented trousers. Yet, he sipped it when no one was looking. Hypocrite. The man was a walking contradiction, like a roaster wearing sandals. One day, as the Rhythmic celebrations lit the night with laughter flames, Christopher burst into the dancing circle. The drums stopped. The jingles paused mid-jingle. Even the fire looked confused. He cleared his voice like a frog with a sore throat and said, "This disorder. No permits. No clearance. What are you people celebrating anyway?" The elders exchanged glances. Children peeked from behind their mothers. And Morara, our own unpredictable prophet of mischief, stood up and smiled like a man who has just spotted a very foolish fly dancing near a trap. "We are celebrating," Morara said, "the harvest of peace, unity, and colonizers who mind their own business." Laughter erupted. Quickly, stifled when Christopher frowned so hard his hat nearly fell off. But Morara was not done. Oh no. He offered Christopher a special guard of Ebusa. Here, Buana, drink it. It may loosen the stick in your ideas. Christopher, wanting to prove he was in control, gulped it down like holy water. What he didn't know was that Morara had added a secret ingredient known only to the oldest herbalist in Gusiland, the bark of the rigoti tree, which made your legs wobble and your tongue speak truths you never knew you had. Christopher smiled, then he laughed, then he tried to dance. His feet moved like confused termites. He clapped off beats and shouted, "I'm the king of Ribina." The crowd laughed, and Morara whispered to the elders, "It is time." They led Christopher, still swaying and singing, to the edge of the village. "We have a special dance for the guests," Morara told him. "But it must be done at the sacred fig tree by the river." And Christopher, drunk on Ebusa and ego, followed, humming a Ribina tune that did not exist. Now at the fig tree, oh, our fig trees, sacred, silent, older than memory itself, Morara stood before the colonizer and asked, "Buana, do you know what happens when a man disrespects a people's song, their dance and their drink?" Christopher, still grinning, shook his head. "You become a tail," Morara said. And with one swift motion, Morara drew the ceremonial blade. Not a war blade, no. One carved long ago for rituals and justice. The same blade used for slaughter. And with one swift motion, Morara drew the ceremonial blade. Not a war blade, no. One carved long ago for rituals and justice. The same blade used to slaughter goats during appeasement. And that night, it tasted the blood of arrogance. They say the river carried away Christopher's body, and the hyenas refused to touch it. Out of professional courtesy, back to the village, Morara returned, placed the blade in the flames, and sat beside the fire, sipping his own blood. No one asked questions. No one needed to. From that day, Wasongo was left alone. The white man never came back. And Morara, he became both hero and myth. Children were named after him. Goats too, although the goats may not have appreciated the honor. So now, when the Ribina drums play and the jingles shake the ground, the elders sometimes raise a guard and say, "To Morara, the man who danced with the colonizer and gave him a permanent break." That, my children, is the story of how wheat danced faster than boots, how Ebusa whispered louder than rifles, and how one man from a small Egesa in Gooseland made history with a smile, a guard, and a very sharp blade. Drink your Ebusa slowly, my friend. You never know what story you might be sipping. But before the curtains close, my friends, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. Your narrator, Mong'ina.